Hey Brickmaniacs, welcome back to another Friday sit rep. We had a little work going on in the design room this week, so we're actually having everyone join us in studio for this sit rep episode, so it'll be kind of cool to have everyone here on set. But I know the models are what we're really interested in, so without further ado, let's dive on in, take a look at what Brickmania is up to this week. All right, first up on the Wunderwaffe check-ins, we have Dan joining us to take a little closer look at this crazy model. I'm not even going to attempt the actual name of this bad boy, Dan, but I know it was a very early medium tank right before World War II for Germany. Tell me a little bit more about this model.
Well, this is the Neubaufahrzeug.
Okay,
I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, and there's Germans over there rolling over in their graves, but you know. That's the way it goes. So it basically that was a code word. That it means like newfangled tractor. Mm-hmm. You know, the equivalent of like a work machine. Mm-hmm. And in secrecy, the Germans were gearing up for war, and this was what their medium tank was supposed to be. This was going to be like their workhorse of the German army. They built this in secrecy. There weren't really, it was kind of like a trial and error sort of thing, and it was like the Germans didn't have this history of tank warfare, tank knowledge that, like, say, the British or the Americans had, because and the French had. They were developing tanks, after World War I and before World War II. The Germans were kind of thrown into the mix, so they still hadn't figured out, exactly the layout of the tank that they wanted. So this was kind of an experiment. It does have 3 turrets, and this is a time where everybody was experimenting with multi-turreted tanks. The British had them, the French had them, the Russians had them, the Americans had them, the Liberty tank, look that up. Multi-turreted tanks. So the Germans had, at the outbreak of World War II, they had like 5 of these guys. Mm-hmm. They went to go invade Norway. They hoisted them on top of freight ships, shipped them off to Oslo, unloaded them. They actually did see some combat. Didn't fare very well, but it was a really good learning experience for what was like then the really, really, really fledgling Panzer Corps.
Sure.
So this model is built by I guess Tiger 131. If you're if you're a Instagram follower, you'll recognize that name. Omar, he's from Norway, so he has a local connection to this guy. But there were I think 3 of the 5 made were shipped off to Norway. Like I said, did see combat, didn't fare very well. The Norwegians and the British allies had the Boys anti-tank rifle, which actually could penetrate the armor of this thing. So the Germans sent them into battle, and then the Germans retreated from battle with this thing pretty darn quick, because they found out the hard way that the armor wasn't good enough. Yeah. Oof. Just because you have armor doesn't mean that there's something out there that's better and stronger. And that Boys anti-tank rifle, which was used throughout World War II, actually, proved to be very effective against really lightly armored early tanks like
this. The right weapon makes all the difference.
So this is the direct predecessor of the Panzer IV.
Okay.
It doesn't look the same. Like I said, lessons learned. So they didn't necessarily like the suspension arrangement. They didn't like the multi-turreted. It was too complicated. Too many things could go wrong. So what became the Panzer IV was basically this thing simplified.
Okay.
So, and then obviously up armored. Mm-hmm. So I did show you earlier that this thing does have moving turrets.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Right. All 3 of the turrets can be controlled from the rear.
Cool little controls in the back.
What?
So this model is sturdy. It's built like a brick. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is solid. It is heavy.
Actually go on brickmania.com and peep those part counts between the T-35 and this thing, and it'll give you an understanding of just how solid this thing is.
T-35 is coming out the same time. You put the 2 side by side, the size comparison is like night and day. This thing is like a baby compared to the T-35, but it has the same part count. So,
it's just nuts.
Just to get the hull shaping. I mean, I had the pleasure of putting this prototype model together, and it was fun to see it all come together. It took me a long time because there's a lot to build.
I bet.
So this obviously doesn't have any printed parts. It will come with the Commander. Commander, you do have these opening hatches up on top. If I can get one open here. I don't have any fingernails anymore. I've been building too much. So you do have the opening hatch. Commander goes in there. We are actually making that Schmutzmutz, the kind of early war German tanker helmet.
Oh, cool.
It's like a gigantic beret with with insignia right in front. So we are actually making it. It's a new 3D custom printed element, 3D printed and printed. element will be included with this. So you'll have a new
Sweet.
tank commander. And it's funny because we have them in a nicely, freshly minted uniform because that's how they went. They went to
They're brand new, yes. Because Hugo Boss.
Yeah. Everything was brand new. The whole Panzer Corps, it wasn't even really a thing yet. I mean, it took them a while to get all that organized for the invasion of France. But
That's genius. Love
Right.
that. That is a cool addition.
So yeah, while they were still licking their wounds from the fighting in Poland, these things were all sent to Norway. The Norway combat was pretty desperate. It wasn't like they rolled into Denmark, who just kind of swung the gates open, and the Norwegians actually fought back, and the British were there to support them. So. It was pretty intense combat, and it was something that continually, even though Norway wasn't really on the beaten path, like there was no direct route from England and Norway to Berlin, it was such a important vital sector that the Germans ended up having to position a ton of troops in Norway just to defend it because all those vital resources. And these tanks were part of that. It was kind of a charade. Hey, look, we've got these tanks. The British and Norwegians didn't know that this thing wasn't like all that great, but it still was a pretty intimidating propaganda tool.
Yeah, especially looking at it. Very, very cool.
Yeah, they didn't know that there was 3 of them. They could, for all they knew, there could have been 50 or 100
exactly.
or 200. So.
Yeah, we got reinforcements on the way.
Right. So I think it scared some people on the Allied side that this crazy huge tank just appeared in Oslo. Kind of it wasn't like a secret. It was definitely like, here, look at this. Look what we have. They drove him around Oslo and paraded him around in front of everybody.
Now on pre-order for Wunderwaffe bricks.
Wunderwaffe, yes. This is the Wunderwaffe.
Yes. Very cool. Dan, thanks for checking in. All right, so next up, Mary Wilson has the T-35, which is absolutely massive. It's actually referred to as a land battleship, and you can see why. First of all, the crazy amount of turrets. Second of all, the length. Mary, tell me a little bit more about what we're looking at here.
Yes. This is, I think, definitely the longest tank I've worked on.
Yeah, I bet.
Definitely the most turrets I have seen. And there's just kind of a lot going on in this model. So just, I guess the main thing I look at right away is like the number of turrets. It's kind of crazy. But each one of them like rotates individually, which is super cool. You can see the ones on the back. It's actually, so there's like 2 medium-sized ones and 2 tiny ones, and then the one main one. So these are, the front and back ones are like identical. They all rotate, and then the medium-sized ones and the large one have the elevating and depressing gun, which is pretty nice detail to get that even so little on that. Another cool thing about this one, it's kind of hard to see because of these like side skirts, but the suspension is really cool on this, and maybe you can see it like while you build it. But each is like individual wheels, so it's like 2 paired together, just like the real thing, and like the suspension just like works really nicely.
Oh, cool.
And I was very impressed when building it.
It's kind of posable. You can put it up over some terrain or something.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just really smooth.
Sweet.
Overall, and just a really nice detail to have in there. Other than that, we're just going to be a minifig, and he's going to come with a tool at least, because apparently this was known for breaking down. So we want to make sure that in case of whatever scenario your tank is going to be in, like you can take care of it.
Got to be able to fix them, I suppose.
Yeah, so we've got that one custom minifig there with the wrench, and then we're missing a brick arms up top there, but that will complete that.
And then the flag as well.
Yes.
Because these got to be parade ready. I heard that's pretty much the best that they were used for.
Yes, for sure. Before we were using a Jolly Roger flag as a stand-in,
Nice.
but that came off at some
A
point.
land pirate ship. Oh, I like that.
Yeah, and so we also have access to the engine in case you do break down. And just turn that here so you can see. There's actually going to be a small frog in there. Just as a little Easter egg. We do not currently have it in there, but it will be.
Oh my goodness.
So that's also like a very interesting mechanism.
Yeah,
of
the
how
way
it
that I
opens
was
and
just about to
closes.
ask, look how smooth that was when it came up out of there. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
It's because then it can like prop open, so you can have it open like that.
Oh, you can make a repair mock.
exactly.
Great.
No,
Great. Yay.
it's just what you need.
Fixing your T-35 on the go.
Yeah. Other than that, we've got it loaded with a decent amount of like tools, and it comes with extra track links and like.
Some printing, I imagine.
Oh
some
yeah.
other cool stuff.
Printing. We've got. I believe there are a few red stars on either side and on the top of the turret. We've got some hatches, and then I believe there's like storage crates on the top here, on either side that we're getting printed. I believe that's it for printing though. So.
Very, very cool. The continuation of Wunderwaffe bricks. Mary, thanks so much for checking in. Okay, now moving on to Spec Ops bricks. We got a new release. Brennan was our project manager, so let's take a little closer look at this 6-wheeled ATV manned by a Norwegian Sniper. A lot of printing going on here. What else are we looking at, Brennan?
Well, yeah, there is a lot of printing going on here. We've gone all out with this Norwegian forest camo. So you can see on the mud flaps here, we've got this really nice camo pattern, which continues along the backside on both sides. It's a very nice flowing camo, I think, and continues onto this little rifle here. We've got also our perfect caliber.
Huge caliber sniper rifle.
Right. I've always
High caliber, technically.
I've
but
always wondered what it meant. You can also see on the back here a bit, we've got the one of the printed ammo cans from a while back, and we brought back one of the tarp tiles.
Nice.
So you've got those on there as well. Little rangefinder sitting on the back. That's my one contribution to this kit. And then we've got this awesome Norwegian Sniper with his headset, and he's got that cap with the beautiful printing right on the front. All of it it's a lot of detail packed into one little kit.
Yeah, and definitely one of those Spec Ops mini kits. It's probably going to be very popular because I can see this being used in a wide variety of playtimes and mocks.
Exactly. I mean, this thing it's made to go low and fast. I mean, it actually just rolls really easily. You also have on your rifle a sling if you don't want it to fall off like it just did.
Yeah.
And you can sling that over his shoulder instead, which is always nice.
Yeah, the sling is a good inclusion, and then the backpack as well. Just kind of added some extra gear for your guy, and then like you mentioned, that printing looking really, really sharp as well.
Right. It's very, very nice build. I enjoyed putting it together. It's a little. I've never seen a 6-wheeler.
Yeah,
honestly.
right.
I know that more wheels is better. You want a 4-wheeler, not a 3-wheeler. But I guess I'm not sure if that applies to you want a 6-wheeler, not a 4-wheeler.
But there you have it. New release for Spec Ops bricks. The 6-wheeled ATV Norwegian Special Forces available on brickmania.com right now. Brennan, thanks for checking in. All right, and last but not least, we have a brand new minifigure this week, the Russian Vdv Scout that I think, Landon, comes with probably the most unique camouflage I've ever seen you put on a minifigure. So let's take a closer look at this guy.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. So this particular arrangement, as ridiculous as it is, this has been on a list of mine to make for a while.
Okay.
So this was actually like a personal request. So this is a KLMK outfit. It's a camouflage like jumpsuit with this like sunray camouflage pattern, they call it.
Luau.
Seriously, this is just quite the ridiculous like camouflage pattern. So this is very vibrant. You would see examples that are maybe there's a variance in tones.
Intensity, kind of?
Intensity.
Sure.
So maybe once this is out in the sun a little bit, it's going to be faded a little bit. But this is like a factory crisp uniform here. So this was kind of a Soviet camouflage. If I remember correctly, it originated in like the 50s, I think.
68, if I recall, for KLMK.
Okay. So you can definitely see the lineage of it from camos going back even to World War II.
Yes.
So it is interesting kind of tracking that Soviet camouflage. But yeah, if that's 60. So for this particular...
Right.
Okay, 60s, right. You were writing this description, weren't you? So this camouflage, yeah, you would see it. I mean, you still see this stuff worn by like Spetsnaz, like Russian special forces. They really love their like legacy camos. But so you start to see this sort of arrangement, like Soviet-Afghan war. You would see like precursor to this camouflage and this camouflage in kind of that era. So this is like a Cold War Russian, like kind of light paratrooper, VDV paratrooper, right?
Right. Which is their own branch. They're kind of, so they do kind of fall into that special forces category.
Right. So during World War II, from what I was reading, granted I'm not like a historical expert on this. This is just kind of the overview the gist that I got out of my research was that
If you had to be a historical expert on every single minifigure you make, there'd be no
yes.
knowledge room left for Lego stuff.
So from what I could tell, during World War II, it kind of the spirit of the Soviet paratroopers had kind of been eroded away a little bit, and as you know, into the Cold War, they kind of were trying to rejuvenate the notoriety, the prestige of the Soviet paratroopers, and so that came out. You can see that that striped shirt underneath of there. That was something they started to wear. Kind of, you saw it originally in Soviet naval marines during World War II.
Oh, okay.
But then other branches sort of started adopting that just to kind of as a morale boost. So it's got that blue stripes there, and I think it contrasts really awesome with those blue sneakers there.
Heck yeah, it looks like it was like a stylized uniform.
We'll get to those blue sneakers in a little bit. I'm not making this up, I promise. So we have this AK chest rig. So would ideally be outfitted with, let's say something like the AK 74U. We have that in perfect caliber with those Bakelite orange magazines. This guy just pops. Those magazines go perfectly with this dude.
More color for this minifigure.
It's unreal. We have that bayonet tucked in behind that chest rig there. So this is a chest rig. You see like reenactors commonly using like it's referred to as the Chi-Com, Chinese Communist chest rig. You see that a lot in like reenactors or maybe like action figures or something of representing Soviet paratroopers. It didn't seem like that actual chest rig was as common, but you can buy it nowadays fairly easily. That's why you see it a lot. This would be a more historically accurate chest rig. It's got a few more pouches, a slightly different configuration, and some different clasps how they close. But yeah, so you can grenades you can put on the sides. You can do 3 or 6, I think actually you get 6 magazines in those front 3 pouches there.
Wow. I suppose if you're jumping out of an airplane and Lord knows where you are, you probably want to make sure you got enough ammo with you.
Right. So yeah, Soviet. So this is a belt buckle. Let's just check that underneath of that. That's like they still wear that classic belt buckle. I believe that originates World War II. And you'd still see it even into modern day. You still occasionally see that belt buckle popping up. I don't know if they probably kept manufacturing it throughout, just during the Soviet Union. Let's see. Back, you have a specific canteen cover for paratroopers. That's a Soviet VDV specific canteen, and I don't know if it's more secured, just for jumping out of airplanes and whatnot.
What's the back of the feet say?
Back of the feet. Okay, so the interesting story. This is getting to the.
I didn't mean to jump ahead on you.
No,
I'm
that's
sorry,
all good.
but I noticed the
sneakers.
writing.
This is like my favorite part of this figure. These sneakers. So originally, so where this all kind of came about is sneakers like this started to become really fashionable in the Soviet Union, just in the civilian population, and the boots of the time that the Soviets were manufacturing were really clunky. Not comfortable at all, and not very well made from what I was reading. So the special forces and just I think even infantry opted for like civilian purchase sneakers. So I think it was a combination of a bit of style going on there and some practicality to it. I mean, you still see that today even with like American special forces or other countries' special forces. They opt for like running shoes sometimes or like hiking boots. It's like. This is kind of that high speed, agile, mobility is crucial for these kind of operators here. So these sneakers, 1980s Olympics is kind of where it came to its peak. Not making this up.
That's incredible.
So the sneaker company secured the rights to supply all the Soviet athletes during the 1980s Moscow Olympics, but the Russians did not want the official brand name on the sneaker, so instead they changed it to like Moscow. So that's written on the back, like
okay.
or whatever it looks like.
Moscow.
So it's instead of the official brand name, they opted for it's the same sneaker made by that company in the Soviet Union. They made it actually a special plant there, and that just became super iconic. So you see these Soviet these Russian Moscow sneakers. You see those popping up on Special Forces and obviously the Olympic athletes of the day. So a really interesting crossover there. Tucked into the socks are the uniforms tucked into those socks. You know, optimal Special Forces awesomeness. Yeah, I think only a paratrooper can get away with that.
I was gonna say, I cannot get over everything that this guy has going on with him. It's crazy.
Then
a must-have.
Yeah. So then let's finish up with the head. He's got these mirrored sunglasses, and again, it's not just like one dude I saw this on. There was like several photographs where they're wearing these just giant, ridiculous sunglasses, like aviator style. And then a few times there was even like a mirrored finish on these sunglasses. So that's what I was opting for. It's like they're really not trying to, it doesn't look like they're trying to camouflage at all. So I don't know. And then finishing up here, we have a custom designed, this is a paratrooper like soft helmet, and very similar to those Soviet tanker helmets of the era. Different like ear configuration and obviously
Little subtleties, yeah.
Yeah, it's in this tan fabric instead of like the black ones where you'd see for the Soviet tankers.
Right.
But so generally they would switch to like a different headgear once they're in the field. So this is maybe like just after jumping or in like, training kind of thing. But so this is again overall this figure is sort of an arrangement that you would see covering a very wide era of the Cold War. And even brushing up to like modern times, you still see some of these camouflage patterns and whatnot. So interesting figure that covers a wide range of things. I'm glad we finally got a chance to do this. I don't know if we're going to be restocking this guy anytime soon.
Yeah,
or
we'll see how popular it is, I suppose.
It's kind of a wild card here, but I was excited to get the chance to make it. So
yeah, a very unique figure and one I would definitely consider kind of a must-have. So so thanks for walking us through it, Landon, and thanks for checking in.
thank you.
All right, that'll do it for the Friday Sit Rep. Awesome week here at Brickmania. I am digging this Wonderwaff of Spec Ops Bricks crossover stuff. Cool episode coming up on Monday as well. We got Dan in studio because the SU-27 Flanker is restocking. So we've got his prototype model and the actual model himself. Go through a little breakdown of that, etc. And then we've got a couple of other goodies coming back. Of course, that Neptune Navy SEAL minifig of the month as well. So it's going to be a great weekend. It's going to be a great Monday. Everything's great here at Brickmania, as it normally is. All right, thank you very much for watching.